Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video is going to be my third and final installment on improving retail rating. And for this one, we're going to be talking about nerfing the raids at a quicker pace. Now, there is multiple arguments to be made, like in a different direction than what I'm going to make here. So I don't think that I'm necessarily 100% correct, and meaning that I don't think that this is the only solution. However, what we see with the current system, especially in Mythic, but certain heroic mechanics can get nerfed as well if the thought is to get more and more people to give the raids a try, to try to get into raiding in general, right? So currently what we see is there's the race to world first. This is going to be a part of this video, and this is like the contentious point. I actually enjoy the race to world first overall, especially lately. Like, it's been pretty good lately, very close at the end. And so therefore it's a very enjoyable thing to watch. I like seeing them make the strategies in real time. I don't think it'll be enjoyable if one team is just like finishing days ahead or whatever of the next best team. Then I think that this argument can be completely different. However, we see the race world first finish basically, and then there's like some light nerfs to some mechanics that might have been like legitimately insane, and then but then like the fights are pretty much the same for quite a while. If there's something glaringly wrong that the very top guilds were able to get around by just having infinite resources, then there'll be some minor changes. But a lot of times, you will not get the heavy nerfs until multiple months into a tier, right? And heavy nerfs are sometimes because of, things we talked about in the other videos, right? So nerfs are sometimes because you don't have the right comp to do something, because you don't have the absolute best setup of DPS, right? Maybe Wind Fury is extremely strong one tier, like having a Wind Fury totem because Arms Warrior is really strong or something, or whatever class, right? And so you want Wind Fury, but you don't have Wind Fury for whatever reason. You don't have a certain buff. And so you just can't quite make a DPS check that you could make, that even at your own skill level you could make if you had all these buffs and stuff like that. And so we'll see like health reduction. We'll see the number of some really hard mechanic lowered down, so that way the weak aura or the add-on isn't as needed as it was before. And we'll see that a few months in. And then a lot of times what we'll see is maybe a month or two after that is we'll see another like moderate to heavy nerf as well after that. And at that point, you're really towards the end of the season. What that last little nerf is doing is trying to make sure that the guilds who normally get cutting edge and have the same players, the same dedication that they always have, can still get it, right? You never want your pool of players completing to just be shrinking every single tier, because that's bad. But I also think nerfing at the final hour is also bad. Now, no matter when you nerf, you are going to hurt somebody, which is the argument against nerfing like this, right? Because whether you nerf it, so let's say you nerf the raid considerably after 1 month, right? If you nerf the raid considerably after 1 month, then like even top 100 guilds or top whatever guilds are going to feel like they missed out on being able to do it, because they always do it on the normal difficulty, the pre-nerf difficulties, right? And so you're let's say making 50 guilds angry or 100 guilds angry. But the way they currently do it, they might have you might have 1,000 guilds like stuck at a boss or 800 guilds stuck at a boss, and then they nerf it, and then they're all able to complete it eventually because of this heavy nerf months in, right? And like I said, no matter what, someone's gonna feel bad about when you do a nerf. So the other argument and the other side of this is to not ever balance around the race to world first. Have the raid come out in its nerf state. The race is going to be super fast, not as cool to watch, not a big spectacle, and all that. And then, but then, you do a round of nerfs a few months in, and it won't matter. Then that's pretty much probably all you need to do at that point. So that's the other way to look at it. I'm not against looking at it that way. And like I said, if the race wasn't highly competitive and highly watchable, I would actually lean towards that. The only reason I don't is because I do think Race to World First is very good, like marketing for World of Warcraft. It shows, hey, we have the hardest raids, we have the most difficult raids, we have the most, badass PvE players. in gaming here doing these things. And I think it like sets a good image as far as, hey, if you want to be a sweaty gamer, come to this game. And that shouldn't necessarily be shouldn't be all that WoW is attracting, but I think that there is, especially, people always say the Zoomers and all that stuff, but especially younger people, sometimes they do want to be a little bit more sweaty than maybe I did when I was that age. And so I don't mind, having like, oh, come here, this game's really hard, this game's really difficult, come take a challenge here. However, like I said, there's multiple things that could convince me otherwise or change my opinion based on, like, if you literally show me the Race to World First causes no new players to join the game, then I would change my mind, right? If like you had data for that, or if Blizzard had data for that. I'm assuming they have opposite data of that, which is why they keep playing into the Race to World First. I assume that they have opposite data because ultimately, let's remember, Blizzard is a company and they're trying to make money. So I think ultimately they're probably making money off of the way it is now. And so, and that's why I'm, having my thing basically keeping it how it is now, just changing when you nerf it and the amount of guilds that are getting, hurt by this. So for example, the latest Tindral nerf. So Tindral got initial nerfs like a few weeks in or whatever, from the way it was first killed, because it was really crazy fight. And, those were pretty big nerfs. And my guild was progressing Tindral when it got its, probably final round of nerfs, which made the fight extremely easy. At that point, we were almost done. We literally had like a 3% wipe, and then they did the final death blow nerfs to Tindral, and we just walk in and kill it like it's nothing, the next raid day after that. So, we were one of the guilds that was like, not hurt because we don't really care, because we like where we finish, we're already killing nerf bosses anyways, so we don't care that much or anything, but not as much as the guilds that would care at the higher end would. But that being said, I think also too, by having those like final hour nerfs like a month before the tier ends or whatever, it's really like difficult to put in perspective the mental it puts on a guild that's like a 2-night-a-week guild, or maybe a 3-night-a-week guild, but maybe it isn't as skilled or whatever. And you're trying to finish the tier, you're on the second to last boss, maybe you're just starting the last boss, and you're trying to get it in on a crunch, and you're almost relying that they nerf the boss at some point. And it's like this huge mental hurdle to get over, and it's really bad. And I think that nerfing the boss sooner just completely eliminates that part of it. I also think, now there's another step to this too. I also think by nerfing it earlier, so you do that big nerf like a month or two in, right? Like let's say 4 weeks in, a big nerf. Now you also leave yourself room, if you want to nerf it 4 months in with another big nerf, now you're inviting more heroic guilds to come in. Now I get it. There's going to be some mythic people that want to gatekeep and be like, I don't want those people killing easier bosses and getting the same reward as me. Well, that's not me. I want more people to experience it. Everyone's going to know, like, the community is small enough who like the hardcore rating community, the top 100 Hall of Fame community is small enough that you can tell the difference between somebody that's in the 20th best guild, and let's say you did enough nerfs to 5,000 guilds could kill to get cutting edge. There's a difference between the 20th ranked guild member and the 5,000th ranked guild member. Like, it doesn't matter if you have the same sword or if you have the same transmog at the end of the day. Like, everybody knows in that community which player is better, right? It doesn't matter. Like you have to be realistic. Yes, you're right. The very casual player who sees you in Veldraken or whatever, they might not know the difference. They're going to see you in the same gear. They're going to think you're the same. That's true. But why does that matter? I don't know. To some people it does. I get it. You want to show off and stuff like that. But ultimately, I don't think that that's necessarily what's best for the game. Is like, because then ultimately, the more you just want to be a show off type game, the more you're going to cater to the 1%, right? At the end of the day. Whereas I am more trying to get more people involved. And I think by having the heavy nerfs come earlier, then again, that allows you to maybe even nerf it even more once the tier's completely over. Everybody's already got their gear. You're just in farm, or you're doing something else. Then nerf it more. Now, another argument against this would be that with the new patch cycles, and they're trying to do 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, they're trying to like crank stuff out to where I don't think they necessarily want you to have dead time. So like a guild like mine, we don't have much dead time. Like sometimes we have, like the most we've ever had dead time after getting cutting edge is like 2 months on a normal patch cycle, right? Not on a like super long elongated patch. Like I think Sanctum of Domination was super long, and we were able to get like tons of Sylvanas mounts to people in the guild. But like and I think Jaina, for some reason, we were able to do that as well. I don't know if that was a long patch or not. But like normally it's like a month or two that we get let's just say a month and a half, right? That we get from when we get cutting edge. And so we don't have a lot of downtime. And then we're either like, if we like the raid, then maybe we try to get mounts in those last 6 weeks for as many people as we can. And then if we don't, then maybe we just stop for the tier or whatever. But you know, being able to finish earlier would just help a lot. And then of course, what are you doing? Then you're putting the world 5,000th guild that can now get cutting edge, but they're getting it at the final hour as well and stuff. So I guess it's like an evolving problem. Like ultimately you're just shifting the goalposts. I just personally think, like, I don't know, if you want to reward the current mythic community, right? So right now, when I looked on WoW Progress, we're like 750 or something like that, and we're on stage 3 for AC. I imagine that's where most of the guilds are at that are like below 1,000 or whatever. And you know, I imagine we're probably going to finish somewhere around 1,000, maybe a little bit higher based on where we're at right now. But like a lot of times there's 2,000 plus guilds that get cutting edge, and right now there's just a roadblock up for, you know, probably over 1,000 guilds realistically. And I don't know, I just think like doing a solid for that many people is a good thing for that part of the community. And you are going to anger another portion of the community maybe by doing this, but I don't know. Again, it's just shifting goalposts. It's extremely biased for me because of like the mental toll of a long hard tier on a guild like ours, who is doing things in the correct amount of polls, but we just don't raid as many hours as another guild does. And so it takes us more real life time in like weeks and stuff to get those amount of polls in. And I don't know. I don't know what the perfect answer here is. Maybe the perfect answer is literally just not caring about the race, like I said before, just not caring about it and having the raid be nerfed when it first comes out, right? If that was the case, we would already be done, right? My guild would be done. We'd have cutting edge. We'd probably be farming mounts, and everything would be cheery. So maybe that's just the answer, right? But ultimately, I think something needs done by this about this issue of nerfing the bosses. It does need addressed in some way, and I think more importantly, if anybody from Blizzard were to stumble upon this, it needs communicated about what the objective is from the Blizzard end of this. What is your objective with the nerfs? How many guilds do you want to complete the cutting edge raid? If you don't care to expand the amount of people who complete it, if you don't care if only like 500 guilds complete it, then that completely shifts where I'm at mentally, right? I'm like, oh, okay, that's not what I thought. But if you're like, no, we want it to be more inviting, you know, we're trying to find the perfect place to nerf it and stuff like that, I would highly encourage you to nerf it earlier or just release it nerfed, I guess. Like one of those two things I think is what's going to have to happen if you want to grow the amount of people raiding in general and the amount of people mythic raiding. Because I think the more people who mythic raid will drastically increase the number of people who total raid, in my opinion. I think there's probably like a delineation between people who get cutting edge, people who get AOTC, people who complete normal, people who complete LFR, and like if you expand that mythic group up, I think it's going to expand every group up, in my opinion. So that's it for this one. Again, basically nerf raids earlier or release them nerfed, ultimately, is what I'm suggesting. So that's it for this one. As always, I do ask you to subscribe to the channel. Helps me out so much. And other than that, everybody have a good one.